Hello, sisters, and welcome back to HB Ministries, a place for you to believe, behold, and become all God has created you to be in this season of life. I have just returned back from a wonderful walk. I went on a nice 3-4 mile walk over by my track, and I actually had my notes tucked in my pocket to bring you this devotional at the track. And you know what? They slipped out somewhere along the way. And I backtracked on my way back thinking, I'm going to find these notes, but maybe somebody picked them up. I don't know, but it was good. The notes were good. So if somebody was to have the notes, so be it. All right, my girls are just getting up. And what time is it, guys? We won't discuss that. All right, so today's devotional is coming to you from Psalm 142, 1-4. This is a powerful verse, but the context and the situation around it is even more powerful. And I'm so excited to speak to you about David and his cave experience, because I think we need to look at our crisis, the situation we're all in, this big elephant in the room right now that's awkward. You know what we're going through, this quarantine period, as our cave period. And you are going to see in today's devotional how absolutely powerful. The verse for today, ladies, is Psalm 142, 1-4. It says, I cry aloud to the Lord. I lift my voice to the Lord for mercy. I pour out my complaint before him. Before him, I tell him my trouble. When my spirit grows faint within me, it is you who know my way. In the path where I walk, men have hidden a snare for me. Look to my right and see, no one is concerned for me. I have no refuge. No one cares for my life. And again, if you're doing this devotional, obviously we're doing the Run in Such a Way devotional for April. I'm bringing a verse to you, and you will see it in this calendar. If you are not subscribed to my channel at heatherbaxter.com, you can get in the newsletter. Every week I send out Bible study notes because I do weekly Bible studies. And I also send out the calendar that we're working on as a tribe, as a group. And you can come and join that group over at HB Bible Study and Resource Facebook group. And I can also post the calendar there for you. But if you want your own copy and put it in your planner, I can surely send that to you. But today we have down Psalm 142, 1-4. What I'm also doing is pulling that verse out of my run book. So if you have the run book, you can do a little bit of further study. What you're going to notice in my run book is I take that verse and we talk about David in his cave experience. He went and he escaped to a cave called Adullam. He went and escaped. He was running from some things, and we're not going to get into all those turns of events. But what I want you to understand is the context of he was running away. He was confused and hurt. He was afraid for his life. Okay? Sounds like a lot of us right now. Afraid for our life. Many are losing jobs. Many have had their jobs cut back. Many have been told they're getting their severance pay. We are all confused right now by turns of events. All of us are. David was in the same place. David ran during this life-threatening event, this confusing part. He ran into a cave. He escaped to the cave. And the funny thing is Adullam in scripture means refuge. It means refuge. So David went to a cave of refuge. But here's the interesting thing. We can make our cave anywhere. Your cave can be your woman's cave. That's why I call this my girl cave down here. You can make your cave anything. It can be your bed. It can be a chair. It can be a walk. It can be a park bench. It can be under a tree. Whatever it is, you have to create this cave moment. And in this place, you're going to notice that David cried out psalms. He had different verses, different psalms. He had the psalm that I'm just sharing with you now, where he was crying out to the Lord about issues in his life. And he knew that the Lord was his almighty and his refuge, but he wanted to cry out to him. He knew that his spirit was growing faint within him. He knew that he could not change anything in his circumstances. He had lost all control. But when he went to his cave, he was reminded that God, in all God's sovereignty, God had a plan. And sometimes you got to get to this cave and remove yourself from everything. And that's what I loved about it. Psalm 57, 1-3 and 7-11. Write that down. If you have the book, it's at the bottom of page 13. But if you don't, write down Psalm 57, 1-3, 7-11. He's talking about how his heart's going to stay steadfast and he's going to sing praises to God in this cave. So we're all in a cave experience. I think it's amazing that we are going through this book right now and we're going through verses that I'm pulling out, but it's matching the season of life that we're in right now. And I want you to know that if you get in your cave and you dwell and you stay focused on God and I know you desperately want to escape the situation we're in right now, but oftentimes God allows these times for us to escape to a cave. And here's the kicker, to set us up for something better in our life. I mean, there is a silver lining in this mess. I promise you, because if I looked back upon the things in my life, I know that I know because I'm a knower. And if you know what I mean by being a knower, you're a knower if you know what I mean. If you know that God has done things in your past and worked all things out for the good, regardless. I know that. And all of those times were when I hit cave moments. Cave moments when I really went in and I was speaking and crying out to God in regards to my children, maybe something that they were going through that was devastating. It was an awful turn of events. And we might have been in a cave as a mother. We might have been in a cave in our marriage. We might have been in a cave trying to come to terms with something in our own personal life. But these cave experiences, like my sign says, makes us stronger and braver. So here is David in a place where he just needed deliverance. And I want you to write 3 things down to ponder that when you're in your cave. Now remember, we have been studying all of Psalm 91 during our Bible study times, our online Bible studies. If you're looking for those, you can go to HB Bible Study. I have some of our live studies posted. I also have those posted here on YouTube. We've been doing online Bible studies for Psalm 91. We've been learning how to protect our home, learning how to dwell in the presence of the Almighty. We have been doing these studies weekly, and I've been giving you training tips and handouts to put in your war binder. Now it's becoming real personal. When David was in his cave of Adullam, his place of refuge, there's no handouts that I'm going to give you. There's nothing that I can give you. There's no tools or anything. I can only give you wisdom. And the wisdom is that you need to run to God during this time. You need to run to him. And there's 3 ways that you're going to do that. Number 1, you're going to choose to trust God. We've been talking about this a lot. Choose to trust God. He will bring success within the suffering. I promise you. But you got to choose to trust. While you're in your cave, God will come to where you are and confirm his faithfulness and his promises to you. Look for that. Just like I shared in a previous devotional, and I also shared on my online study yesterday, the Lord proved his faithfulness to me by letting a feather fall out of the sky when I was walking the other day on a track. It was raining out. There were no birds out. And I was praying that his faithfulness would cover my family like his feathers. And a little feather came right out of the sky and landed right on my arm. God will prove his faithfulness and promises to you when you draw near to him in your cave. So what does your cave look like? Where is your cave? God needs to use your cave as a banner so he can write out what he wants to do next in your life. He's just waiting for you to go there. Number 2 is David chose to turn his life and situation over to God. This isn't a time to run away from God and run to other things to try to get through a season of life. This is a time to run to God, run with God. And I think that is pivotal. I have down here, sometimes our feelings can overwhelm us and our races can come to a screeching, fearful stop. The Lord doesn't want you to stop running. He may have you stop and take a breather to reposition yourself in your lane, but he doesn't want you to stop running. When we stop running, we really stop believing in faith and fear takes over. Every single day you need to run a little bit of his word out, a little bit of his promise out. So remember to choose to turn everything over to him, but keep running. And number 3, which I think is really, really important, and I loved this part, is you need to choose togetherness. And it's so cool because if you study a little bit about David and his cave of Adullam, he really focused on his family. And I loved this. I loved that it says, and let us not neglect our meeting together as some people do, but encourage and warn each other, especially now that the day is The day of his coming back again is drawing near. Hebrews 10:25. Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. Think of those in your life who are encouraging you, especially when all you can see are cave walls. Right now, all we can see are cave walls. That's all that David recognized were cave walls, but there was some sort of encouragement that was going on. He had a certain group of people in his life, and I think we have those people in our life, and if you don't, you need to get around those like-minded people. If you're lonely and you're alone, like my mother's alone, get the right books in your hand, get the right podcasts on, be filling your mind up with promises, with verses and meditations that are going to strengthen your heart. Remember, I was sharing yesterday, your meditation is your medication. So here, we cannot be around our families. I mean, our distant families, we have to be careful. But if we're all in a stronghold, we need to be reaching out to our moms and dads. We need to be with each other in this stronghold, encouraging one another and choosing togetherness. And I think that is so special. God knows our need for strength. God knows our need for togetherness. And right now we can't go to church. We can't stay in community. We're in a cave experience. David was in a cave experience. We're looking at the walls of our cave, but at this time, we can virtually stimulate encouragement in new ways. And God is showing us that. I think that's so cool. More than ever, we're learning how to weep new with people virtually. We're learning how to pray new with people virtually. We're learning how to do Bible studies new with people virtually. So I think that's huge that we're running in togetherness. We're still choosing to position ourselves in togetherness, although we're in a cave. And so that's been challenging, but we're finding it. And that is why I have upped my game here on YouTube and decided to post every day. That is, I don't know what God's doing with this, but I want to be faithful. I love you. I truly love everybody on this channel. I love the friendships I'm making. Please DM me over on Instagram. Follow me live on Instagram. I do workouts. Today I walked the track and I shared meditations of my heart with you. I just spoke them out, and that's what you're going to see me doing at the track. So I bring a little bit of my life in, some recipes, me cooking in the kitchen, just some inspiring things, because right now, if we're living in a cave, we're lonely, why not just share parts of our life with each other? Keep us busy, keep us encouraged, and keep us running the race. And so that is today's devotional. I pray that it was a blessing to you. Think about what David did. He cried to the Lord. He lifted his voice to the Lord. He poured out his complaints before the Lord. But he also trusted the Lord, and he also turned everything over. So it's okay if we tell him about our trouble and our spirit grows faint within us. And all of these feelings are real. We can lay those out before the Lord. But at the same time, we have to choose to trust, and we have to choose to turn everything over and know that if he brought something to an end, if he brought some job over to an end, maybe he has something new that is better for you, better people, a better position, better pay, shorter distance. God always works things out for the better, for your good in a crisis situation. I know, and remember what I said, if you're a knower and you know because you experience these things that you know, leave me a comment and say, I'm a knower. I get what you're saying. I am a knower. I've experienced God that way. He is your refuge. He cares for your life. So be blessed, and I will see you in tomorrow's devotional. Bye-bye.